Welcome back to the Jeremiah Show. My special guest today is Martin Nethercutt. He's a singer, he's a writer, a musician, a producer, and he is the creator of GEIST Music. We're talking about his trilogy. Would that be the right word for this, Martin?
Yeah, yeah, sure, for sure.
Trilogy. Book of Mirrors, Book of Shadows, and Book of Light. And we're specifically focused on Book of Shadows today and the story behind that of Martin Cole, the character. Geist Music tells the story of Martin Cole's profound musical journey through a trilogy of the albums that I just mentioned, and the narrative explores Martin Cole's odyssey through the themes of darkness, illumination, and introspection. And there's a chapter. Well, first, I think something unique about the project is that you write, or you were originally writing for the Book of Shadows, a chapter every 11 days.
Hmm.
And then there is also a chapter, you'll have to remind me, I'll get it wrong, but 11:11. uh,
Hmm.
what was that chapter? 11:11.
1111 is the angelic wake-up call. It was a teaser to tease the book.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Does 11 mean something symbolically, and does 11:11 mean something to you symbolically? And
absolutely. I call it the angelic wake-up call. So, when you think about different universes, different metaphysical planes that we exist on, like for instance, my belief is that we never lose anybody totally. They're always around us, good friends that passed. We see them at different spots on our path through life, right? We encounter that sometimes when I play 12 string on the album, there's George Harrison behind me and just going like, you can do that better, mate. You know, you can absolutely do that better. I can feel it. Or
Mhm.
Ruth has a great story about white feather. Every time she sees a white feather, the presence of John Lennon, for sure.
Mm.
John
And
liked her,
we're
liked
talking
her.
about Ruth McCartney or your
Ruth
wife.
McCartney, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, my wife, and so she has those moments. So when I was doing the chapters, we kept seeing 1111, just like you mentioned. We kept seeing 333, 444, 555, and like once you're accustomed or once you're used to seeing those digits, now it's like, what the hell does that mean?
Right.
To me, it meant stay alert, stay vigilant. Some of us will be chosen to get this new energy that was happening during the pandemic, the world shut down. I call it almost like a global consciousness developed, like with Zoom and all these technological things that we can use now to be in Beijing, Hong Kong, Singapore, Italy at the same time, right? It's synchronicity. So it's also singularity, meaning that we're coming to a point where body, spirit, mind, and soul all converge into one. And the event horizon, what's behind there, we don't know, right? So as I wanted to explain before, is I'm a huge Ray Kurzweil fan. He's a futurist. For Google, he has his own little pod there where he just thinks about the next 10 years where everything is going with generative AI and the development of sentient technological beings that can feel, and that sparked the emocanics track on Book of Shadows, which is emotional mechanics, right?
Hmm.
Through the isolation and through the desperation of people not having social interactions physically with other human beings, it became necessary for the system to give us these little Stepford wives, right? As little playthings, because the gaming industry during the pandemic really took off, right? So that's part of the story in emocanics is like the kids are sitting down, they're going to be sucked into the matrix, they're playing all these games, and they have virtual girlfriends. And now the Chinese are building these fembots, which they're going to release next year, right? We're there. We have all these robot assistants for elderly people. Delivery drivers will be done. It's all happening simultaneously. So the singularity of that is that you have to have 1111 to keep and maintain your sanity, to know that there's a spiritual being watching over you. You call it God, you call it angels, you call it whatever you want to call it, but there's something bigger than us, but it's all part of all of us that, guides you. And listen to your intuition, listen to your inner voice. When I write a song, I always listen to my inner voice. Never mind what I want to write from my head. I listen to my heart. I'm like, okay, what is this? What does that mean? And then I, like a surgeon, you have to go into a song and dissect and cut and, revisit. And I'm writing a song right now for the Book of Light called Pure, People United, Resurrecting Energy. And it's all about the light workers that are fighting against the system, fighting against basically Skynet, which is coming so fast, right? Total
Mhm.
surveillance. Everybody is, in the database. And Pure was just like, oh man, it is tough to write light songs, if you get my drift. It is really tough. Darkness is easy to write.
Right, right.
It's like,
It's easy to go negative. It's not
yeah,
easy to go
absolutely,
happy.
all the time. But now happy stuff, really? So this is going to be a longer labor than I thought it would be, but
Well, that's
it's
interesting you
coming
bring
along.
that up. The GEIST trilogy, you said it's your lifetime musical work and
Yeah,
achievement. It is such a wow, what an undertaking that you took on with
yeah,
this work, and you've got to be extremely proud to step back and look at it. But there's something next for you, and right now you're still in this. Do you find that it's hard? You have to finish it. It has to almost let you go from its grasp before you can move on to your next
yeah,
life,
yeah, for sure, for
your
sure.
next
It's
achievement.
lingering constantly in the back, subconscious. It's
When will it
constantly
be
there.
finished? Do you know? Or is it still?
I gave myself comfortable time. I think 2027 we're
Yeah.
looking at that. Because the story, when you're writing, the music is one thing. I mean, I got for Book of Light, I've got about 10 tracks ready. So that's sort of ready musically, but then it comes to the intermissions of these pieces in the story of Martin Cole as he ascends, right? He went through the dark tunnel. Now he's going into the light. But the question for me was, is there corruption inside the light? Is the light fighting the light, right? Because I don't think, if you look around, nobody is 100% good, right? There's always an angel and there's always a devil on the left and the right shoulder, right? That's whispering in your ear constantly. So that conflict, I think, as much as you strive to go one way and be illuminated and be blessed and do yoga, right? I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, but when can I have a cigarette? So that's Martin Cole,
I gotta have a
right? It's like,
Coca-Cola.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
well, you did something very interesting in one of the chapters where you, I want everyone to go see this themselves, so I hate to give too much away, but the visual is that the character is in a boat in a cave in a cavern going through the
Hmm,
dark,
hmm,
right?
hmm.
And then you let about halfway through you say, we want you to sit with your thoughts for a little bit here.
Yeah,
And I thought that was so interesting. And I did for a couple seconds, and then I started thinking about the next thing.
right.
And that's my question for you. Your mind is so alive and firing. It feels like creating the music, creating the cinematography and the film and then writing and putting all this stuff out there online. And it feels like what is it like to be in your mind? Can you let yourself sit and think? Is that a practice that you have? Is that a discipline? And are you able to do that with so much
Eh,
going on in your mind?
yeah, it's interesting. The older you get, the more you reflect on past things, and things come in your dreams, and situations you were in when you were 22, 32. You know, it's interesting to have that discipline. But what I do is, like, I suppress it as long as I can, because I know it's like when you write music, go away. Yeah, it's a great idea, suppress it, right? The more
Mhm.
you suppress, the more crystal clear that song will become.
Mm.
So the advantage that you have as a writer, if you have the financial means to, to pay the rent and stay through it, is allow yourself patience. And I think that that is something that builds a substructure without you knowing. Your subconscious is constantly bombarded with stuff, right? I do social media. That's a discipline where I do social media only like maybe for half an hour a day. I can't do more because it would corrupt everything I'm thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, the temptation of like, look how many likes I got, right, is also there. So to be honest and true to yourself, know your pitfalls. No, yeah. My Ruth always says, my wife, she's always saying like, yeah, you've done that lick over and over. And if I listen to that hi-hat one more time that you're mixing, and I'm like, you did that in 2012. I'm like, oh yeah, right. So it's repetition is one of the biggest enemies. So you got to stay open to new developments. And when I wrote The Ritual, I was like, somebody said to me, why don't you do something like Coachella-ish, like with a DJ with a dance beat? And so I Googled like, what is the average tempo for like a DJ thing at one of these, shows? And I found it was 148, right? Bum, 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 bum. So I had this synth going, and I'm like, why don't we slam a Scorpions riff on that? Right. So The Ritual turned out to be a monster because it's 64 tracks of guitars playing the same thing. Although it is, they're offset by milliseconds on the guitar. So I always, Led Zeppelin, just to give you an example, Led Zeppelin got so big because Bonham was always behind, right? They were always in tune on timing, but Bonham was just like a split second behind. So it gave it that train movement that he did.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing I did. We have all this syncopated Japanese MIDI stuff that's just rolling on like a machine. And so to add the human element to it was very important, because now all of a sudden that song just became bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so, yeah, with The Ritual, I'm like, what would kids like? Well, they need a 148 beat. And then I'm tired of all this synth stuff. So let's put some guitars on it.
I love that song. I think we're about to play it, in fact.
Yeah.
I've got to take another break. This is our final
Sure.
break. But Martin, tell me, how has the story altered the course of your life? I know the first
Ooh.
was finished in 2010, right? And you're still working on it. How has this story altered the course of your life?
I think once you like let out your heart and your thoughts, and something that becomes a record of your life, it's very tough. It's very, very hard to like, oh yeah, I did that. Don't you like it? It's not about that anymore. It's like, okay, so at what point in my life did this happen? Oh, okay. What did we learn from that? Oh, okay, I learned this and this and this. So I think life's all about to know what not to do versus what to do. And that what to do, and the influence that brings with it, is a culmination of all the stuff that you screwed up. So when people screw up, I'm like, be thankful you screwed up, because
Yeah.
now you have a memory of something that you don't want to do again.
Just don't do it again.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. What our parents always told us. Yeah, don't
Yep.
drive drunk. One
God,
day.
I wish I'd learned a lesson.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But it's
Guy,
also, emotionally important to let go of yourself, to not think this,
so
this,
true.
this ego training, these influencers. I feel so sad for these kids because they can't let go. They have to have, their makeup, and then they're getting sick and they're wondering why they're getting sick. Well, I go outside, play with something. Part of the biggest thing in Book of Shadows was, what if all that internet stuff just shuts down? Like,
Right.
what are we doing now? We're sitting around a campfire with a guitar, Maybe there's some beer left, and we're
Well, I have a little hope
enjoying
for that
stuff.
if that ever does happen. I kind of feel like it would be like what happened with COVID, where at first we're all just lost. We don't know what to do
Right,
with ourselves. But then somebody starts baking bread, then everybody's baking
right,
bread. There,
exactly.
somebody's writing. You're
Yeah,
as you said in the beginning of the show, collaborating with musicians from around the
yeah,
world.
yeah,
They're they find a way. I think that's that Jurassic Park logo, slogan, isn't life
yeah,
finds a way.
yeah, exactly.
Geist music definitely finds a way. The Book of Shadows we're talking about today. We're also talking about Book of Light and Book of Mirrors with Martin Nethercutt, creator of Geist Music, singer, writer, producer, musician. He does so much, but he has created a body of work that is truly amazing and truly fascinating. And I encourage everybody to go there now. Go to geistmusic.com to listen, watch, read, and immerse yourself in the world of Geist music. We'll be right back after this break.